Let's talk a little bit about how to write comedy for YouTube.
Shavinism.
Hi guys, and welcome to Shavinism, where every Monday we do a discussion topic and every Thursday we do some comedy and characters. Today I'm actually doing a follow-up video. I did a first video on how to be funny on YouTube and it got good feedback and people said they wanted to know more. Usually when I do videos I think I've exhausted the topic, I had what I had to say and I'm done. But in this specific case I thought that I actually have more to say. And so I decided to say it. And also I listen to you guys because I have the need to be loved. And so if you say something, I'll do it. This video will have to do probably more with the writing of comedy rather than tools or editing or things that you can use. And I hope that you find it useful. If you did see the first video, great. If you didn't, I'm gonna link it at the bottom. You can watch it now or you can watch it after the video. The order of the two doesn't really matter, it's just tools that you can use. But if you do want to follow up and you find this interesting, then the link will be down there. The first tool I want to talk about, which I think a lot of people know about, but they don't always use it, is the rule of threes. I personally use that all the time. Now the rule of three is very basic in comedy. When you tell a joke, it's always three. Three guys, you know, it's an Englishman, a Scottishman, and an Irishman. Or it's three people walk into a bar, or a guy walks into a bar, the first time he orders a drink, something happens, the second time, the third one will be where the punchline is. Because 2 is too little, as 4 is too much, the joke needs to be on the third. But it's not just for jokes, a lot of times it's when you give examples. I see a lot of YouTubers and a lot of great comedians, they do lists. And even when you do a list of 3 items or 3 examples, the third one needs to be the funny one. And I'll give just a couple of examples. So let's say I want to do a sketch about games we played when we were young. How we don't play games anymore. And I said we used to play great games. We used to play Jenga, we used to play Twister, and we used to do sword fighting with our with our best friend. Not to analyze that example too much, but the third one is obviously more far out than the first two. The first two are quite basic. Or if I'm doing a sketch about things I hate about my girlfriend, that she makes me do. She wants to go shopping, she wants us to go to restaurants together, and for some reason, she wants me to always lick her clitoris. Now, I'm not saying that my examples are good or that my writing is brilliant, but it does work in comedy and it's better for you as a creator if you start thinking about that, and especially when you do lists, and especially when you talk about annoyances, and when you tell a story, the third one should be the punchline. One more tool that I see really useful is repetition. Now repetition a lot of times has to do with branding. It has to do with people coming back to watch again. A lot of the characters that I do have repetition in them. So for example, Javier will always say his name at the beginning of the video. Javier de Santos Ferrer Rodriguez Fernandez de los Tres Amigos, and he'll go through the whole name every time. Sir hates a lot, it's the coughing. Herschel may, you know, touch his glasses or play with his ear. It could be just as well a repetition of gestures. Things that the audience starts to expect, and it has to do with branding, and it has to do with the fact that people want that familiarity. And here are a couple of examples from shows I'm sure you're familiar with.
I don't even know how I would go about it.
Oh, well, what I do is I look a woman up and down and I say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Oh, please.
"Hey, how you doing?" "How you doing?"
You know, how's that going, though? Are you okay with the not flirting thing?
Yeah, but so far, yeah, but it's tough, you know. I got all this built-up flirting energy, and I don't know how to get rid of it. "How you doing?"
Oh my God! They killed Kenny! You bastard! Oh my God! They killed Kenny! Oh my God! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
Now this is a very good way to make the audience come back. It also has that feeling of someone being happy that they know the show, that they know what it's referring to. So, and they'll tell their friend, they go, "Oh, she does that all the time. It's what's the thing she says, it's the thing she does." It just helps someone sort of come back for those catchphrases. It also works within a story. So if anyone remembers the McDonald's video, every time I said the word nuggets, I said maybe 6, maybe 9, definitely no more than 20. And that repeated itself, and the comment section proved to me that it worked, because quite a few comments referred to how many nuggets there actually were. It's a little bit like the drinking game, where every time a character says a word or a phrase, you drink. So it's like that. In the longevity of time, when you're doing a series or you're playing a character again and again, it's just something that helps build your brand. Now the third thing is puns, and I use puns a little broadly, but associations and playing with language is something that I think works very well in writing. If I'm telling you about puns and I tell you that I fell in love with puns, it all started once upon a time. And a lot of times I think when you write, you can play with language and you can play with associations that are built on language, and sometimes you can combine words to make something completely different. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's say I think of the word car, and I start thinking, what can I do with car? Cargo, carpool, cartel, and I think cartel is quite interesting because it's car and tell. So I start telling a story that I've always wanted to be a storyteller. I've always wanted to be like a circus that goes from city to city and tells story. And I'd have a car and I drive around and I just tell stories. And I have a name for this business: cartel. I don't want to explain the joke too much, but the two words together bring a totally different association. Cartel is more associated with drugs, of course, and I have such a nice business plan of just telling stories from town to town, and the contrast between the two words together and each one individually is to me, is something that you can bring into stories. If I wanted to, I could tell a story about a guy, an Italian guy we knew who was called Paccio, and he was always the designated driver, so we called him Carpaccio. And if I relate it to this channel, for those of you who are watching this channel, sometimes puns can be with mispronunciations. For example, I once went on stage with Javier, and I was saying that me and Lucinda are like two peas in a pod, which is quite a strange phrase, because why would someone piss in a pod? Anyway, that's a wrap for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it interesting and helpful. If this is your first video on the channel, I hope you explore other comic videos I've done on the channel, and I hope to see you next time, and I hope you subscribe, and I hope you hit that bell, and I hope I stop saying and. Thanks, fam! It sounds so unnatural when I say fam.